We've all seen the viral clips. A loudmouth steps into a dojo, laughs at the traditions, mocks the stances, and challenges the master to a real fight. What happens next? Well, let's just say things don't go how the bully expected. For years, people have underestimated traditional martial artists. They see the rituals, the discipline, the controlled movements, and mistake it for weakness. But every now and then, someone decides to put that theory to the test and ends up flat on the floor. Today, we're diving into moments where karate masters, real ones, faced off against bullies who thought respect was optional. These weren't movie scenes. These weren't choreographed performances. These were real confrontations with real consequences. This isn't about showing off or hyping tradition for tradition's sake. This is about reminding people that under the calm, under the kata, under the discipline, there's still a fighter. So if you've ever wondered what happens when arrogance walks into a dojo, stay tuned, because some people had to learn the hard way. Don't joke with the karate masters. Let's begin with a scene no one expected to unfold at a karate tournament. A story that shocked the crowd, spread online in minutes, and left people talking about the real meaning of martial arts. Meet Lena, a teenage karate black belt. Calm, disciplined, and here today to compete. She wasn't looking for a fight outside the ring. She wasn't chasing attention. She was here to do what martial artists train to do: test skill, build character, and honor the discipline. But what happened next would put her training to the ultimate test. In the bleachers sat Lena's best friend, Mia. She came alongside her father, a man known for anger, and today that anger erupted in the worst possible way. In front of dozens of spectators, he grabbed his daughter, shoving and manhandling her. His rage caused silence in the dojo. For a moment, the crowd froze. They were all confused as to what was happening, but no one could move except Lena. She stood, and in that instant, the black belt around her waist wasn't a symbol, it was a responsibility. Watch what happens next. Lena steps between father and daughter. He swings at her careless, angry, sloppy. She parries with a single hand technique, redirecting his force, dropping him hard to the floor. The crowd erupts, gasps, disbelief. This wasn't a choreographed kata, this was real. The father, red-faced and humiliated, beckons to his friends standing nearby. Together, they think they can overwhelm her. Two grown men against one teenage girl. But what they don't understand is simple. Lena's spent years preparing for moments just like this. Not tournaments or trophies, but moments where violence erupts without rules. The friend lunges. A sharp block, a strike to the chest, and he stumbles backward, choking on air. The father claws his way up again, only to be swept off balance, pinned to the ground. Lena doesn't flinch. She controls the fight without cruelty, without excess, just precision and discipline. In a flash, the two men were both defeated by one teenage girl defending her best friend. The crowd goes wild. They couldn't believe their eyes, but this isn't about humiliation. It's about what happens when power is abused and someone decides enough is enough. When young women train in karate or any martial art, they aren't just learning kicks and punches. They're learning confidence and how to stand tall when fear tries to push them down. They're learning that their bodies are not helpless, that their voices are not weak. Lena didn't step in because she wanted glory. She stepped in because she had the skills to act when no one else could. And in that moment, she showed every girl watching what self-defense really means. It's not about violence, it's not about ego. It's about safety, dignity, and having the ability to protect not just yourself, but the people you care about when it matters most. That's the power of karate and the power of teaching young women to fight back. The Tsuki defense. In karate, the most powerful techniques are often the simplest. There's no need for spinning kicks or acrobatics when a straight line can solve the problem. One of the most overlooked tools in traditional karate is also one of its oldest, tsuki. It's the basic punch. So basic, in fact, that many outside the art write it off as too elementary to matter. But under pressure, when things are moving fast and there's no time to think, it's exactly this kind of direct, grounded technique that matters most. The gyakutsuki, or reverse punch, is more than just a strike. It's an expression of karate's core philosophy: economy of motion, timing, and total body coordination. The punch doesn't start in the hand, it begins in the legs, travels through the hips, and is delivered through a tightly aligned fist. It's fast, sharp, and built to interrupt an attack as it comes in, not after. But these principles don't just live inside the dojo. Sometimes they walk across the street with you, like this seemingly looking regular guy, Kenji. Kenji was just trying to get home. A 20-year-old university student, quiet, respectful, not the kind of person who invites conflict. But with 5 years of Shotokan karate behind him, he carried something most people didn't. It was late afternoon. He was crossing a narrow street near the train station when a slim man stepped into his path. Disheveled, shifty-eyed, not much bigger than Kenji, but carrying himself with sharp, erratic energy, the kind that looks for weaker targets. The man started with words, mocking, pushing for a reaction. Kenji stayed calm, eyes forward, no posturing. What happened next took less than a second. Kenji's body reacted before his mind had time to process. He pivoted slightly off the center line, took his stance, and kept moving toward the guy. Now the guy was starting to become frightened because this didn't look like a regular weakling as he thought. He braced up and tried to strike Kenji. After a back and forth, Kenji fired a clean gyakutsuki straight into the man's face. The strike landed square on the solar plexus. The thug stumbled back and fell. His strength is gone, and his aggression as well. There was no follow-up. Kenji didn't need one. The fight was over before it began. That's the power of tsuki. It doesn't rely on brute strength or speed, but on structure, timing, and confidence earned through repetition. In the dojo, it's just a punch. On the street, it's a decision, a barrier, a line that says, "Not today." Kenji didn't win a fight. He prevented one. And that's karate at its best. Stick with us as we reveal some other techniques. Few techniques in karate carry the kind of pop culture mystique as the shuto uchi, the infamous karate chop. It's been parodied in cartoons, dramatized in action films, and exaggerated in the imagination of anyone who's ever seen a black belt break a board. But the actual technique, the real shuto uchi, is far more than a flashy hand gesture. In traditional karate, shuto uchi is a precise, powerful weapon, a strike delivered with the blade of the hand, often targeting the neck, jawline, collarbone, or ribs. It's part of every major kata system. It features in self-defense sequences. It's fast, deceptive, and surgically accurate. But despite its elegance, shuto uchi has long suffered from one problem: its myth. In the public imagination, a karate chop can knock someone out cold with a tap to the neck. There are unverified and often absurd stories of masters using a single shuto to kill a bull or sever a tree branch. And in demonstrations, it looks unstoppable. One swift motion, a board shatters, a brick splits. But how does that myth hold up under real pressure? Is shuto uchi a relic of the past, or is it still relevant in actual combat scenarios? Let's find out from Anil Shariat Panahil. She's 13, quiet, calm, focused, a junior black belt with 7 years of karate under her belt. While most kids her age are still perfecting basic blocks, Anil has been developing one technique to surgical precision: shuto uchi. What sets Anil apart isn't strength, it's timing. In multiple junior tournaments, she's used the technique not as a dramatic finisher, but as a tactical response, slipping in between attacks, redirecting with her lead hand, then landing a clean shuto to the opponent's ribs or jawline. Anil landing a well-timed shudo. No drama, no cinematic KO. Just clean, legal, point-scoring strikes that stop her opponent cold, often before they even realize what hit them. This is what the real Shudo Uchi looks like. Not mythical, not magical, but effective when trained with purpose. It's not about breaking bricks. It's about placement, posture, and pressure timing. The ability to land a strike where there's no defense and with just enough force to end the exchange. Anil doesn't perform the myth, she performs the method. And for anyone who still thinks a karate chop is just for movies, she's living proof that tradition, when understood and applied correctly, still holds its place in the modern world. And that's not the only technique Anil knows to apply. Look at the spear hand. A single unadorned finger thrust that sits in karate's toolkit like a needle. Small, precise, and often misunderstood. In kata, it appears as a bright, decisive line. Index and middle fingers extended, thumb tucked, wrist aligned. A point aimed at soft tissue, throat, solar plexus, the eye. In demonstrations, it looks surgical. A lightning-fast stab that splits the distance with frightening intent. Technically, Nukite is geometry and timing. Power begins in the ground, travels through a rooted stance, rotates through the hips, and channels through a straight arm into the fingers. Conditioned correctly, the fingers act like a spearhead supported by the entire kinetic chain. Delivered with alignment, a Nukite is not a brittle fingertip jab. It is a compact thrust designed to penetrate small windows in an opponent's guard. But Nukite lives in two worlds. On the demonstration floor, proper conditioning and exact alignment can make it look devastating. Breaking boards and striking targets show commitment, conditioning, and nerve. In kata and bunkai, Nukite represents decisiveness, a quick end to an exchange. The street is less forgiving. Unprotected fingers meeting bone risk injury. Real opponents move, twist, and shield, and the perfect line Nukite often disappears in unexpected angles. Relying on a single spear hand thrust without pressure-tested experience risks dislocation, pain, and a loss of options when a strike fails. That does not make the technique useless. Intelligently trained, Nukite becomes a versatile tool. Used as a probe to find openings, a disruptive strike to the throat or ribs, or a setup for follow-ups, grips, joint locks, or a more robust heel-hand strike. It extends the fighter's toolkit. Modern training emphasizes gradual finger conditioning, rice, resistance, shorter range thrusts, and applying Nukite in dynamic, resisting drills rather than pristine solo form. The takeaway is familiar. Tradition without adaptation is theater. Nukite's elegance is real. Its risks are real. Its greatest value is not in mythic one-hit finishes, but in disciplined practice that respects anatomy, timing, and pressure. In the end, Nukite is what it has always been, a spear in the hand of a thoughtful practitioner, effective when trained and applied with humility, dangerous when fetishized, and quietly useful when married to reality. Conclusion and call to end. The stories we've explored aren't just about karate. They're about restraint, self-mastery, and what it really means to be dangerous. It's easy to look at a young black belt and see just another kid in a GI. What you don't see are the hours of drilling, the bruises, the quiet discipline built over years of repetition. You don't see the control, the decision not to escalate, not to strike first, not to meet ego with ego. But when pushed, when truly threatened, those quiet kids don't flinch. They don't posture, they don't panic, they respond. Because behind that belt isn't just technique, it's awareness. It's training under pressure. It's the ability to act when it matters and the wisdom to hold back when it doesn't. Most bullies think strength is loud. That power is something you show off, something you use to intimidate. But real power doesn't yell because it doesn't need to. The black belts who walk past conflict, they're not weak, They've just seen what happens when force meets training, and they do know what they're capable of, and they've already made peace with it. And if you're the kind of person who mistakes calm for weakness, you'll learn the hard way that some people train not to fight, but to end a fight the moment it starts. Don't mess with the karate masters, especially the ones who stay quiet, especially the ones who let you swing first. One that's delivered fast, sharp, and usually with a reverse punch you never saw coming. So wherever you are, whether you train or not, remember this. Real strength isn't loud. Real confidence doesn't need to prove itself. And the most dangerous person in the room is probably the one who says nothing at all. Until next time. Train hard, stay humble, and never stop learning.